be fine. All right, and here we are for the inaugural podcast of our WWE show. So this is Monday Night Raw. We just finished up here watching, and I guess we'll just get our first impressions. Quite a bit happened, so I'm just going to walk us through it. Let's start with Jey Uso Priest promo at the very start of the night, if you remember that. It was a little weird. Priest kind of came out and respected Uso until JD came in and like kicked and kind of messed everything up. So what do you think of that?
Uh, I think Jay's had, I think I've told you so many times, he's basically on a trajectory at this point to get a huge push because he's so over with the fans. Like I pointed
Yes.
out so many times in the crowds, like, everyone was wearing like Yeet shirts, and like when he comes out, the pop is so insane.
And his arm thing, the whole crowd's all just so heavy into it too.
Yeah, and I think it's like a good time for the WWE with like Seth gone and Roman kind of gone for like an undetermined amount of time, where you can kind of play around with different people as champions.
I agree. Yeah, it'll be
So,
fun.
yeah, you can have
Yeah.
like people like maybe hold it for like a month or
Priest,
even
for
a-
example.
Yeah, exactly. And then if something catches, and obviously it's driven by the fans, but I thought he carried that promo, but he carries so many promos though.
Okay, but like to kind of into this other half of the Uso promo was Priest. You're right. Like Priest comes out and it's just kind of as everyone's like, it's the WWE champion. Okay, like no one really cares.
It's like the worst. It's the worst reaction you can get is no reaction.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, like even when Priest does something bad, and I don't want to like fast forward ahead a little bit, but
Yeah.
when he came in
Later.
and
No,
attacked, when he like attacked during the tag team match, he got like zero reaction from the fans.
Yeah, we'll get more into it when we get to that portion, but it did feel like for sure that it was like there was no like oh shit moment. You're just like oh Priest came in and kind of got in the match.
Yeah. That's how I felt. Like
Yeah.
it definitely felt like the promo got carried by Jay,
Yes.
but I also don't know like how far that'll take him to a title shot
Mm-hmm.
because he's getting one, but I don't know if he'll get it. He's just so over with the fans, and it could be one of those things where Triple H goes, "This guy is so over right now," and like the thing that would either push everything and let everything bubble over top is the title, or he kind of edges things and like makes the fans wait for a little bit more. But you risk like losing the steam, and then when he wins the title,
It's not the same thing. Yeah, but I just for me it's just weird because I just don't see like the fact that Priest is the champion. I just don't see it at all. So it really just if WWE are they going to make him a quick champ? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't think they expected Seth. I mean, Triple H said they already knew what the main event was going to be like 6 to 8 months ago. Like he said,
Yeah.
he had written it way in advance. But I also didn't expect the WWE to have Seth gone for so long, right? Because if originally it was supposed to be CM Punk,
Yeah.
it felt like almost they had to pivot. Plus, it's coming up in Money in the Bank pretty soon enough that Damian Priest's cash in would be gone.
Oh,
right.
So
they had to do something with him, you know?
Right. Okay, and then let's move on now to the next up was the tag team Art Awesome Truth versus DIY. That was just a good match. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also super bullish on like Awesome Truth, like more than a lot of people. But before we move on, just a quick thing.
Yep.
I always find it funny, like JD's like the punching bag, and even in that Jey Uso segment, they found a way to like have him
Make him the punching bag.
Yeah. So that just came up.
No problem. Yeah. He's just that would be the worst character to be. The guy that just is like the troll that gets beat up the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tag teams I felt was, I don't know, I can dig Awesome Truth now that I understand The Miz and R-Truth more. Because my whole hate for them was, I was like, who are these goofs? But now that I get like, that's kind of, especially R-Truth, that's like who he's supposed to be.
Yeah. I got a question for you. Because obviously we haven't followed WWE in almost 20 years. Like for me, it was like 2006, 2007 since I actually really followed it.
Yeah.
I've like always peripherally kind of kept along and like know who the names are. Do you find like a big part of you jumping in and trying to follow some of these people are the fact that you don't really know what the characters are yet, and you're kind of just making your assumption of who they
Oh,
are based on.
absolutely, absolutely. Like for example, AJ Styles, I've like started to really like him, but like I when we watched, what did he come in on, the Hell in the Cell, or no, the six man
Elimination
the
Chamber.
Elimination
Yeah,
Chamber. I'm like sitting there watching, and I also already I just think LA Knight's a goof. And this dude shows up with he's in jeans with his long hair and just like opens the cage and goes after LA Knight, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like he was out of nowhere. So yeah, 100%. Like if people have a lot of backstory to why they like him, I'm just snap judging them for the most part on like in that moment where I'm like, what?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so okay, so yeah. Then what did you think of you? I feel like you have a lot to say on this with Gunther declaring he's the king of the ring, because you've said this is happening for a while with all the intercontinental, like the build up, right?
Yeah, well, because obviously I didn't follow it either, right? I had no clue who any of these people were until you jumped in, right? So
Right.
Gunther especially is a new one for me,
Mm-hmm.
but after following it for the last like 5 months with you pretty voraciously, obviously Gunther's pretty big. Like he gets a pretty decent pop with the fans,
Yeah.
and then they wouldn't have him hold the title for like 666 days for no reason,
Yeah.
and it just felt like his title run had run its course, and leading up to WrestleMania, I was like, "There's no way he wins WrestleMania because he's clearly
Mm.
outgrown what the title is
Yeah,
now."
like if he kept winning, it would have been, I guess, cool because you would have been like, I'm still the champ, but you're as like a fan, you're like,
Yeah,
this
well,
whatever.
historically speaking, too, they've always used like the Intercontinental title and the US title
Mm-hmm.
to kind of build a name for some people that are coming up,
Mm,
or
okay.
some people that maybe are like in a transitionary period of their career and they just want to see how the fans react and if they can push that title. And I think
Right.
Gunther had kind of done everything they needed for him,
Right.
and he's just prime for like a big run. Like there's a couple guys, like again jumping back in, like right away I noticed Jey Uso,
Yeah.
Gunther 100%, because you don't have the title for it. Doesn't make sense to have like a 4 year intercontinental title run because you almost prevent other people from building names.
And it also too, I feel like it kind of, if you start having people go on these like mega huge runs always, it kind of dampens the like the 666 or Roman Reigns 4 year one. If all of a sudden someone else has a title for 4 years, you're like, oh dang.
Yeah,
Like yeah, okay.
yeah,
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, that I it's interesting because Jey Uso, like you picked up on him and Gunther, but Jay was, I don't want to say really obvious, but you pointed out, you're like, okay, I see that. Whereas Gunther, you pointed out I didn't see it, but now I do. But at the time, I was like, really? And now it's like, yeah, like his chop is just sweet.
yeah. And I think everybody had, it was between that, the LA Knight, and obviously the two main events, but those were their people's favorite matches of WrestleMania,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he's pretty good in the ring. Again, I'm not technical enough. Like I'm a casual. Like we're basically like armchair casual wrestling
Absolutely.
fans,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
making a podcast based
Watching for
on like
5 months.
watching for fun. But like from a relatability standpoint, like I think he's got good ring presence, and he's awesome on the mic.
Yeah, I was surprised. Tonight was the first time where, like, I've seen him talk on the mic, but he was like really good on the mic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And also just his style, like, it doesn't get old watching him just chop the shit out of people. Like, that's great.
It was so funny if when he tried out or whatever he did in the WWE, and they're like, "What's your thing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just slap people in the chest."
Really
Like,
hard.
if you get like a booking against him for the longest time, it's like, "Oh, like as the Intercontinental Champ, everybody in the universe is just like, oh man, like this sucks."
Like, okay, when he fought, whenever people fight Dom, he has his like chest pad on, and if they chop him, you hear this like thunk. Then he fights Dom, and they rip his shirt, so it like goes through.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
still,
Well, do you remember? Oh, well, obviously you remember, but Ric Flair was like the man back then at like slapping chest,
yeah,
but he was also like so old, like that had to be his thing.
yeah, it's true. The woo.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now then came the Imperium versus New Day fight, and the fight was that who was it? What's his name? The guy at Kofi's partner.
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods was really good in that whole promo and then the fight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we didn't research any of this, but I guess part of this whole thing is us just like commenting on what we're watching. But clearly he won King of the Ring last year.
Mm-hmm.
What surprised me was how good he was on the mic.
Yeah,
Like
me
that was
too.
really cool.
Because I just assumed that Kofi was their mic guy, and then
Yeah,
for him to be out, I was like, okay, cool, cool.
yeah. Well, it's fun. It's crazy because if you look back to back segments, they basically have hinted sort of breakups with
Hmm.
tag teams.
Yeah.
Obviously the DIY fight. Remember at the end when Awesome Truth was trying to shake hands
Oh,
and
and he
Tommy's saying,
left,
"Yeah, he
right? Yeah,
left,"
I forgot
and
about that.
then Johnny Gargano was kind of like, "What?" And then like right after, Damian Priest talked all this shit about Dom
Dom,
and
yeah,
then them not pulling their weight, and then literally the right after, Imperium clearly split.
yeah.
Or
So
released the tag team of
yeah,
Imperium.
so the Imperium was he. What was his name? Kaiser, like destroyed
Giovanni Vinci.
Giovanni Vinci, and that leads into what your prediction is, which I think you're right on. Of what was it about the
Ilya.
Ilya?
I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but it'd
Yeah,
be kind of. I mean, there's the Eastern European bloc thing, right?
yeah,
Um, he would. He seems to like wrestle almost a similar style, and it would be a good way to get Ilya's name pushed pretty quickly if he does transition.
yeah.
It all honestly depends on if he loses the title to Trick tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure he
I
is,
think he's gonna. Yeah,
and he gets drafted to wherever. Like, keep an eye out on the draft. If he gets drafted to the same brand as like Gunther
then
and
that'll
Ludwig,
happen.
there might be a good chance because it just seems like a good fit.
Yeah, yeah. That was crazy seeing after to Gunther like, yes, that was my calling. I was like, you son of
He's like
a
Ozempic Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like when he
bitch.
talks, it's like Ozempic Arnold.
Okay, then we had the Drew promo, which led into the shame. I don't know. I
Yo,
just
I'm
don't
telling you, I know, and I didn't notice it
know.
until I was watching it with you.
Yeah,
Because I followed a little bit. I don't have social media, but
yeah,
I have Reddit, and I followed a little bit with like Sheamus reacting to fans about how fat he got,
yeah,
and I didn't notice it until I watched it with you. But uh, it's literally Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
yeah, yeah,
I honestly think he went to Triple H, and I was telling you this. Like, there's no way he just comes back from being hurt, like just super chonky,
yeah,
and Triple H is like, "Yeah, man, like go wrestle." Like for sure, there's like a built-in storyline there somewhere
yep, yep.
where he comes back like Mac, and he's like all jacked.
Jacked, especially because as soon as Drew started making fun of him for being chonky, you're like, yeah, there's more to it than just he's actually chonky.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if they didn't expect it, they wouldn't comment on it. But the fact that they drew attention to it, like I'm pretty sure there's like a storyline there. And if you look at him, he is chonky, but he's like this weird like in shape chonky. Like you can
yeah,
still see his ab lines.
yeah. I
Like,
was thinking that when he was on after the match, he was like this on like the top rope, like holding his arms up or something, and I just was like, yeah, this dude like has a weird like he's flabby, but he's still got a full six pack on him.
yeah,
Like it's,
yeah.
I think if you looked like him, you wouldn't think you're chonky. You'd be like, yeah,
I got six
yeah, I
pack.
got a
Yeah.
six pack.
To be honest, if we were on WWE, I don't think we would care what we look like.
Yeah,
Like I'm pretty sure Gunther, because he wrestled with pretty chonky back then.
yeah,
Now he's like all lean.
yeah.
So it's like Ozempic Arnold.
Okay, then. So yeah, that happened. I'm just gonna say Drew is just like I feel like for example, when the whole build up to Drew and Seth Rollins fighting, it was this weird thing of like Seth Rollins, he's in love with his title, but he's willing to just like not care about it at all to help out with Cody finishing his story. And Drew's having this like one sided, like 3 month thing where he's like, you got to watch your back, Seth. And Seth just doesn't even like pay attention to him. And I feel like that's like just him now, even now, like he comes out and he's in the ring and you're all just kind of like, whatever, Drew. Like,
I do kind of find it funny because what if Drew is actually that's his character? Like he's just self sufficient. Like he's basically carrying promos on his own.
he is at this point.
And he's just talking to himself because clearly they honestly don't know what they're kind of have planned for his character. There's like a CM Punk angle there somewhere, but like you said in WrestleMania, he was like almost an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like even him winning the title was like an afterthought,
Yeah.
like a step over or something.
Like if the best thing for him would be Punk because that would make him more relevant. Whereas if he doesn't have someone for like Punk to be with him, people would be like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. I also find, and again, this may be different because when we were growing up, our favorite wrestlers pretty much wrestled almost every week. Like when I
Yes.
tuned in, but the rosters were also like not this ballooned.
Yeah.
But I would tune in. like almost every Monday Night Raw, like John Cena would have a match, you know, like
Yeah.
or John Cena would have something happy to lead into a match. But like I haven't seen Drew wrestle since WrestleMania, and even before that, I saw him wrestle like maybe one time at the Elimination Chamber.
Dude, so many of the guys that are the big guys don't wrestle.
Yeah.
Except Cody for some reason.
Well, they wrestle at like house shows, but even Cody, he didn't wrestle at all, literally from Royal Rumble through to WrestleMania. If you think about all of the
Yeah, he just got beat up by The Rock.
yeah,
That's
and even
actually
at
it,
Elimination Chamber, he didn't wrestle, right? Like
yeah.
he didn't wrestle for like 2 months, and since the WrestleMania, he's done a bunch of mic stuff, but he hasn't wrestled either, right? Like
Yeah, so I don't know. It's weird. It is really weird. I don't know. Is that normal for wrestling?
I don't.
Like,
Maybe
modern, I guess.
Maybe it is. I know from again getting caught up that Seth during his title run, so he held it for like just under a year. He defended it a lot.
Right.
So we just happened to jump in like towards the tail end of his reign.
Because that was his thing, was like the working man's
He was
title.
the working man's title. Yeah, everyone calls him honestly like the Shawn Michaels of this generation. Again, that might be like super blasphemous.
But
like the working man's like title, the charisma. But yeah, like none of the title holders really like defend their title, you know?
Well, okay, then there's this next one, kind of going into title holders. Sami Zayn, first off, he gets attacked by Bronson Reed after he's like being interviewed about being attacked by Gable. So I feel like I said this to you while we were watching it. I feel like Sami Zayn's entire run is gonna be him being beat up a lot, and he like miraculously like keeps winning, but you're gonna see like everyone like just attacking him always.
Do you like Sami Zayn?
I do. I used to think he was such a bizarre character, but I like his brainbuster finisher off the top rope, and I do think he's just hilarious. What do you think of him?
I honestly don't know. I told you, I kind of wish, and it's like one of my biggest regrets that we didn't catch like the whole Bloodline run.
Yeah.
Because from what I've done to try to catch up is Sami Zayn had a pretty like hilarious run with them, like especially with the Usos.
Yeah.
Like Jay and him. That's why like the callback last week, like him and Jay were tight.
Right.
Like he's the one who brought him on to like him and Jimmy. And everyone seems to be behind him. Like they love singing his song. And the pop he got in Montreal last week was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I have no thoughts. Like his match against Gunther was crazy.
If Sami stays champion, I'll be like for it in terms of like enjoying it. But if he lost it, I wouldn't be upset at all. Like that's kind of how I feel about Sami.
Fair.
Okay, and then Gable comes out and just like Gable. First off, Otis and Maxime Dupree and
Akira
Tozawa are some of my favorite wrestlers. I love all of them. I think they're all Maxime's just hot. And the other two, the few matches I've watched of them, they actually are a sweet tag team.
Yeah.
But Gable is for sure just a little midget Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like WWE's been trying to find Kurt Angle again for so long. But it's so tough because Kurt Angle was like this like awesome wrestler, but his character was kind of goofy too.
Yeah.
And like it's like this really weird fine line that you have to toe, and no one seems to be able to do it, you know?
Yeah. Gable, I just feel like he's too short, so whenever everything happens, he kind of just comes off like he has short man syndrome.
He was pretty good on the mic tonight, though.
He was, but if he was the exact same, but like a bit bigger, I would be more into it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Dom and Liv Morgan, remember?
Yeah, that was weird.
What was that about?
I don't know, but it was that weird like little tension scene, right?
Just quick at the end of it.
Yeah. Like that just came out of nowhere. Maybe they're angling towards like because Liv Morgan clearly at this point is heel. Like she's coming up in a black uniform with like a revenge thing on her thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe they're angling towards her taking Dom in revenge for Rhea like injuring her, right?
Yeah.
And then her way of taking everything Rhea has is also Dom. But I mean, Dom's not super.
Yeah,
much of a problem. Like, are you winning by getting Dom?
I feel like if that's happened, happens, Rhea comes back and she's like, I took your man. And she could just be like, Dom, like, that's what you took. um, okay, then, um, Andrade and Ricochet versus Santos and JD. I'm a big Andrade fan and Ricochet fan.
Yeah, I like them both as wrestlers. To be honest with you, they're super exciting. I just don't know if WWE knows what to do with Ricochet,
I
and
agree.
I also think that they're just leaning in and like taking the low hanging fruit and be like, Andrade's Mexican and Santos is
Yeah,
Mexican. Like,
100%, dude.
let's have them beef. And like
100%.
Dom is Mexican and like Damian Priest is Mexican or like
Yeah.
some form of, again, I don't want to call everyone Mexicans,
No, but
but
no,
everyone's some form of like
they're all
South
Latins,
American.
but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they actually all are Mexicans. I
Yeah.
don't think that they're
No,
wrong in saying
maybe
that.
we can look this up. You know, like this is,
Yeah, this
I
is part
think,
of it.
you know, don't book us on this.
Let's see.
Damian Priest is actually, oh, he's from New York,
Oh, what?
Puerto Rican.
He's Puerto Rican.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
Andrade is Mexican.
okay. Dom is Mexican. We know that
And
because of his
Dom's
father,
Mexican,
right?
and then Santos.
I'm pretty sure Santos is Mexican as well. Yeah. So man, so yeah, Priest is the only one. He's
Yeah,
Puerto
Priest
Rican.
is the Puerto
So
Rican.
yeah, excuse me for all the South America. We're not trying to lump everyone in. We'll just put everyone put in like luchador masks and like.
did those things Luke sent us. Our buddy is in Mexico right now, and he went to luchador wrestling, and that looks so cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to go see luchador wrestling. Okay, so yeah, that's I don't know. I just like Andrade and Ricochet. They don't need to be title winners. I'm just like I enjoy them as wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, my cousin and I talked about it. I mean, and you saw it, right? They kind of remind me of like, well, Ricochet for sure reminds me of like RVD.
Yeah.
So like maybe he could win like the US title. I know RVD ended up winning the ECW title at one point, but like those guys are like RVD was like super revered back in the day. Like I loved him.
Absolutely.
Right. I just like it's tough. It's tough in wrestling to get really far with the height, like being that small.
Totally agree.
And like it's super. It sucks because obviously he's so exciting, but for example, Logan does maybe like 50% of what Ricochet can do because obviously Ricochet's a little bit more or a lot more athletic.
Yeah.
But the package on Logan looks just so much better because he's huge.
Yeah. Well,
right?
that actually, I'm going to get to that in a second. We'll come back to that. So before we kind of go on to the final point, which we'll come to that, after the match, which Andrade and Ricochet won, what's his name? Priest came in, beat the shit out of them, and then basically ended Judgment Day. I feel like not literally, but basically.
Yeah, I think he's on his way out. Also, because the draft is happening, I could maybe see Priest like leaving to the Judgment Day and the Judgment Day staying intact with Dom, Finn, and JD, but I don't know.
Yeah,
because Dom the last few weeks, like obviously he's been booed, but he hasn't been kind of dickish. Like even today, like he was kind of. It was
he's
a weird.
Yeah, Dom. He's just there.
Yeah.
And they're booing him because of what he's done. He wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I feel like that Judgment Day's done. It's just a matter of like a week or two. And then the final thing of the night was the women's battle royale, which inevitably went, or I shouldn't say inevitably, but Becky Lynch eventually won. What are your feelings on all of that?
Okay, before we jump in.
Yeah.
Okay, out of the 14 girls, who would you have been? Okay, if we remove Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, and Liv Morgan, so those are the three. When you just look at the names, you are like one of those three are going to win, right?
Who else would it have been? Yeah, no.
Who would you have been the least choked about winning if neither of those three won? And then who would you have been the most choked about winning if neither of those three won?
Okay, so if I actually would have liked what's her name from Vancouver?
Chelsea
Green. I think it would have been cool if she just stole the title for just so she has it once, like just that quick little thing. Because there's no way Chelsea Green ever wins that title.
Unless she gets like a super big push. But
but it just won't happen. Who would I have liked to win? I would have liked to see Maxine Dupree, but again, I just think she's sexy.
Who would you have hated to win?
Hated to win, probably. Well, I'd say hated, not goddamn Nia Jax. The second one I would not have liked. You know those two chicks that they have, like they were like the team, and then at the end, Nia Jax and
Oh, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler.
yeah, I would not have liked either of them to win it. I just would have been pissed.
I think it would have been funny if Piper won.
Yeah,
Just because like out of left field.
yeah,
I don't know. I just think it'd be hilarious if WWE started going into like arcade mode. They'd never do it because it's obviously fan driven,
but it would be
but
fun.
it'd be hilarious. I definitely would have been super butthurt if one of those two, like Shayna or Zoe, wins. I just don't see it in either of them.
No, me either. They just don't have like the. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't see it either. So anyhow, it came down to Becky and Liv tossed Nia over the top rope, and then they had some like epic battle on the outside of the ring. Where what's her? She did her like rock bottom, Becky's rock bottom.
The pump handle, the manhandle slam.
Yeah, and so she ended up winning, and I I don't. The thing is, like, this is kind of going into that point you were talking about before, where you look at Ricochet and you go, like, yeah, it doesn't make sense for him to be the champion because he's too small. I feel like that's kind of where Io is at, and that's now Becky Lynch. Is like, if you look at some of the women that are like the top contenders, they're monsters, and you just can't have like small little women being the ones that they're gonna win the title off of, because it just like Becky Lynch. I'm sorry, but if Jade Cargo, Bianca Belair, um, who else is there? Bianca Belair, like Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, like any of the really strong big women were to fight her, it's like the same thing as when Rhea fought her. It's just this monster versus this small little person.
That's true. I agree with you, but I also like devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
We had the Big Show, Kane, and Undertaker for years, and if we took that same sentiment, like those guys should have ran show for years.
Right.
But I also think wrestling is in this weird spot, or not weird, but in this cool spot right now where Becky's not so small. Like if you had like Ricochet in comparison to if you took like Logan and Cody and Roman,
Right,
like they're
right.
all, and like Jay. Like Jay's small, but he's not so small that you couldn't see him beating Drew or you couldn't see him
Right,
beating
right.
Roman, you know? And same with Becky. Like Becky's clearly, physically speaking, not as big as Jade, but I think she's worked her character enough that some of her moves. Now, her finisher maybe is a different thing because that manhandle slam kind of relies on a little bit of strength.
Yeah.
But she wrestles sort of in a way that it doesn't really rely on her being super strong. And if you remember, Rey Mysterio beat Batista for like the world heavyweight title.
Yeah, but that's Ray. I know it can happen, but yeah, Ray's like I get what you're saying, but even within that, I'd say the difference between is like you're talking about like the Undertaker and stuff. Like a big person can beat the Undertaker, the Big Show, like a heavyweight champion can, like a
Yeah.
big guy. But then there's Ricochet. I feel like Nia Jax is more of a Undertaker Big Show. And
Yeah.
then you have the Jade Cargills and Bianca Belairs, and then the Becky Lynches,
Yeah.
would still be small.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think that's a good way to wrap up our first ever podcast.
There's
a few
I got a couple things.
Yeah, please go off.
So there's like the draft coming up, right? The SmackDown on Friday and then Raw next Monday. Do you have any predictions for where some people end up? Are there any people you want to see together in the same brand? Because I know obviously you're partial to SmackDown, but
yeah, again, I do like SmackDown.
That's because they have the wrestlers, but this is what the draft is for, right? Like this is like you kind of disperse the talent.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't think off the top of my head. I mean, I'm a big fan of Logan, so I like wherever he goes. But yeah, I don't know. If you threw some names and stuff out there, I could give you them, but off the top of my head, no. How about yourself?
I think Cody is going to be going to SmackDown for sure because you can't have both titles on Raw.
Right.
So it's either Cody goes to SmackDown or Priest goes to SmackDown, right? So it's one of those two. I don't know if they split the bloodline up because at this point, there's like this really built-in thing that's happening right now. With,
like, yeah, they can all like fight it.
Paul Heyman, Solo, Roman's chilling wherever, Jimmy's still on there. I could see them, depending on if Jay wins, maybe bringing him back and like throwing him back in the storyline somehow. But I think they got to do something with like the women's roster situation, I guess, in Raw, right?
Yeah, Raw's
Because
weak.
look at the three, like the 14 girls. I felt like you could have filled if that 14 women battle royale happened on SmackDown. You would have had like 10 deep of some girls
Yeah,
that are
you
really
actually
fun.
wouldn't have known who was going to be champ until the very end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that's the case, but um, I would like to see, like, I guess I want a foil to the bloodline that's not just Cody, you know?
Like someone new, kind of.
Yeah, like I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to have factions. I have a odd feeling that Logan's going to be going to Raw
Okay.
and maybe getting a push on his own brand. Because right now he's sort of been in the shadow of like the bloodline. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, there's like not really like a flagship on Raw right now. You know, there's
Yeah,
not really a
there's
flagship contender.
yeah, that's honestly that's why I think I've liked SmackDown more is because it seems like when you watch SmackDown there's all this wild stuff going on, and then Raw, like, it's kind of just like stuff's happening, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
supposed to, like, remember I
yeah,
asked you earlier, I was like, isn't this supposed to be the main event is Monday? I would like Logan to come on. It'd be nice if he went to Raw, but I'd like them to step out of the social, like, get him away from, he's very much like the heel via social media. I think you still keep him heel, but you don't have to lean into so much of him being, I'm this social media guru. I think that he can just come out, be a wrestler as Logan Paul, and he'll still be hated as a heel.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be via the, like, I'm a social media star.
I think it's tough though because people have so much history with him, and it's like, how do you separate that from?
True, because I think that's why I like him. Because I literally, like, I've heard shitty things about him, but I just kind of see him as the wrestler dude,
Yeah,
and I like his hydration brand. By the
yeah.
way, everything is brought to you by our official sponsor, Prime Energy and Rehydration
We're
Drink.
not sponsored by Prime, but it would be really cool one day if we did.
Unofficial sponsor as of today.
Unofficial, and also these burgers from Good Go.
The Good Go burgers.
Unofficial sponsor as well too.
Up the burgers. So anything else you?
No, yeah, I'm interested to see where the draft will shake out.
Yep.
It's always interesting because it's funny because they've obviously pre-written like where people are going to go,
Yeah.
and then another thing is like which NXT stars are going to be coming over.
Yeah, I
Right?
actually think I might watch the NXT tomorrow because I do think it's fair to say that, like, if they lose the title, they're for sure gone if they're the NXT champion, or do you think it's, like, possible they lose the title and stay on NXT?
It depends on the person. Like for example, it's I think there's that Roxanne Perez, right?
Yeah.
She seems to be super over right now, but I don't know whether she's so over that if she loses, you bring her over on Raw and SmackDown. But there's so much women's talent right now that would have a pecking order, and you might lose her luster.
Right.
So maybe she loses it and gets another like hungry title run in NXT. It's like it's such a fine balance for like you have people that are megastars and you want to make sure you carry the momentum, and then obviously bringing that momentum into the big brands. But obviously you risk their star dampening because they get lost in like they're not going to be overstepping like Bianca Belair or like
Yeah,
Tiffany Stratton.
that's what I always wonder is, like, for example, like Braun Breaker, he's like this destroyer of man, and it seems hard because, like, they have to transition him and keep that, like, that's who his character is, but he's going into this new thing where he's not going to be the destroyer that he was because there's Cody and all these, like, superstars.
Yeah,
So it's hard, like, that's kind of what I feel like when they shut Braun specifically is they're like keeping him as this, like, destroyer, and I'm like, it'll be interesting when they actually decide to unleash him. Like, is he all of a sudden going to be going for titles, or is he going to be more a guy that gets beat up a lot?
well, you know what I think they could do because obviously, we didn't follow this at the time, but from what I read, like he was pretty destructive on NXT, and he was an NXT guy, right?
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people on Reddit are having like wet dreams of like Paul Heyman managing Braun, like he's like the next guy, like Paul Heyman going from like Brock Lesnar to Roman to
Braun
Braun,
Breaker, yeah.
and if they don't do that, they could always have him crush like mid-tier dudes. Like there's so many guys that people love that might win the US title and will never get like a WWE title run.
Yeah.
And they can get him like Shinsuke apparently is okay with like getting his ass kicked
Every time. Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a bunch of guys that are like more than happy to be like, hey, I'll put on a good match, like, as long as you like maybe have me kind of win, like you can beat me, right?
Yeah.
So they do that route for a while. It's really tough if you land in a division with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, because they're automatically like the top dog on the ongoing
Period.
storyline.
Yeah.
Like that, like you said, the periodic story going on SmackDown versus Raw, where just like things are happening on Raw, but like SmackDown, it honestly feels like we're watching a season unfold, and
Absolutely.
and like the Bloodline's not done. Clearly, like like there's still things happening.
Yeah, well, that I think is one of the draws of why it's been so fun getting back in is like as it's like finish Cody's story, there's this underlying of this extremely good bloodline story, and then the more you look back, you're like, this goes back so far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I guess we'll see. It should be pretty fun.
yeah, and we'll end on that. So I guess hopefully, ideally, I guess we'll just do it every time we get to watch. We'll sit down after and pod.
Yeah.
So I hope you liked that tap. You're the only one who's gonna listen to it.